Come on, man. Come on.
Doesn't want to start.
Let's see.
Hopefully.
Come on, start.
Oh. So actually, it's good we started.
It's loading.
It's loading. Yeah.
Still slow.
I'm telling you, I think something got rebooted on our whole system yesterday. Like I said, for my computer to be like that, that's weird.
Right, yeah. Come on.
I hear the door Siberia's coming to.
It's slow to sending data to Facebook. I don't know why it's doing that.
Huh.
Let me see if we're online on YouTube.
Is this on the restream?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's saying it's still sending data on to Facebook.
Oh wow! I'm telling you, Facebook is
Something wrong with
something
it.
wrong with it. There really is. Ever since they made it that Meta or whatever, Meta,
You ready?
whatever it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
crazy.
Sorry.
I might have to
We have
upload
to
it.
probably upload.
All right.
Yeah, because
But
it's
we're
like
good. We're good on
we're good at least on ours.
yeah.
All right.
That's
Are you
good.
sure?
Yes, we're good.
Good morning, everybody. Happy 2020. Welcome to the green room.
2020,
2022.
2022.
Jesus, I don't even.
No, I like it.
2022.
That is just a fantastic opening. No, and I mean it. To today's green room. Listen, it is. It's a new year.
It is.
It is 2022, but it's kind of, when Don was putting together the graphics and all that, listen, to me, 2022 is interesting because it's like a new year, question mark, exclamation point. We kind of feel like we rolled kind of into the same zone that we've been in. And I don't want to be overly negative about it.
I think it's worse.
It is. We went back to yellow yesterday, and we'll talk about that in a second, which is
well,
in our
it's also the anniversary of last year's.
Well, we're going to go there, but
we're going to go there.
I want to
It's a
go
lot of
positive
stuff.
first, though. I want to go positive. We lost a couple people since we were in the green room last
That's not
time.
positive.
No, it is, because it was Betty White. Because it was Betty
no,
White.
Betty White.
It was Betty White and John Madden. And when you look
I
at
don't know
Betty, John Madden was the football coach,
Oh, okay,
who of
that's why
course
I'm like,
Madden.
I don't
Well,
know.
no, but John Madden was famous because he was a joyous football coach, and then he was a commentator later. And then they named the entire PlayStation, right? Right. I show
After
my
him?
age. I was going to say Nintendo or something, but PlayStation 2, Madden is huge. But no, but the point is that, and Betty White also, listen, if you were on the bus getting ready to go up to heaven, okay, and all of a sudden they said, wait, we gotta wait for one more person. We gotta wait for one more person. And then the doors open and in walks Betty White.
Betty White.
Seriously.
No, seriously, Betty White.
So through the years, just a lady of grace and humor, and did so many things.
Like
and
it,
go all the
it
way
seemed like
back.
everybody's grandmother. In fact, I was with a little girl. She's 15 years old, and she's like, she called me. She's like, Betty White died. I'm 15, even to 15-year-olds.
I know.
Like, that just
so there's very few people
about her.
Which is what Madden was in football too, but just the joy that they both brought to their lives, to their professions, how adored they were by everybody. Once again, the 15-year-old. That would be the thing with Madden too, because nobody knew that John Madden, he led the Raiders to the Super Bowl championship at age 33 as a coach, believe it or not, at a very young age. So he had a really accomplished life. But anyway, listen, so that's the passing of time. And yes, today is January 6th. And I'll be honest with you, today is going to be a very interesting day, because from what my understanding is, President Biden, who is the legitimate president of the United States of America. I mean, some of the stats.
And John F. Kennedy Jr. is dead. I don't know.
No, but some of the stats are so concerning. Some of the stats are so concerning about those who just don't accept the legitimacy of the institutions of the United States of America. Listen, former President Trump, you lost the election. I just saw that Arizona, Maricopa County came out with their report finally that showed no voter fraud. Listen, everybody from Barr himself all the way down. And listen, I got to give a shout out to Mike Pence. I've never been a Mike Pence fan, of course. He's been sycophant in chief, the follower of, President Trump. But the point is, he did stand up at the end. That's what's so scary about.
He did, but then he flipped again. Now he's back on the same
That's what's so
bandwagon
concerning
again.
to me
What
is
the
that
hell,
the
dude?
Lindsey Grahams, the
Oh my
others that
God.
said,
They
hey, I'm
wanted
done,
his head
this,
on
that,
a
whatever.
platter. They wanted Pence dead.
And that's why I
And
think
it's
today is such
craziness.
but he did stand up at the end, and that's why you're not going to be my friend anymore. No, you're going to have people calling to have you hung the next day.
Seriously. And talk about traitor. Oh
But
my
today, President Biden, my understanding, will be calling out former President Trump by name as a cause of the continued discourse in this country.
Yes.
It's a simple concept in America. When you win, you win gracefully. Hopefully.
Gracefully.
When you lose gracefully. You go back, you replan, you retool, you see how you can help people better, make a better message, whatever you do. But you don't try to tear down our democracy. I don't want to move out of this country. And I will say this, if we don't get some leadership, okay, and I'm an independent. I've always been an independent. I stand for Adam Kinzinger and I stand for Liz Cheney as the two people from a party that we need in this country to be strong, honest, and legitimate.
Honest. Just be honest. I think this is the sad part.
He lost. He lost, everybody. Please, come on. There's no big lie.
There's no lie. And why, like, these people who are claiming this false patriotism, because
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
You cannot support an insurrection against the Constitution, against democracy, against the will of the people of the United States. And that's what they mounted on January 6th. And they should not be calling them any kind of patriot at all. They should not be even flying that American flag until they apologize for their actions and that they believe the idiocracy of that president. It's ridiculous.
But you speak in the past tense.
He was a traitor. It's being a traitor. You're a traitor against your country. It is.
Listen, you speak in the past tense, but this is a rolling coup attempt.
It is. He's still trying. He is still trying to make a coup. He still is trying to get these people rallied up in that craziness of his. And he has those followers. They still stand on the bridges. Come on,
I find it striking that every senator was in support of the Voters' Rights Act the last time it came before the Senate. And here we can't even get one senator to stand up because that's the danger, okay? Because of gerrymandering and otherwise.
Look at Mitch McConnell. What a little turtle snooky thing. I can't stand him.
So my point is, I think today's going to be an interesting day, but when you see stats like a certain large percentage of a certain party is willing to raise up in arms against our legitimate government,
country and our government, that is a coup. I don't know why these people are like, oh, it's not. They came in armed. They did. They came in with the intention of overthrowing our own government. But that was clearly their intention.
But it's just so interesting because we're in an era now of the immediacy of the communications, and it's all there by TikTok, by moment, by this, by that. Listen, former President Trump is a bad loser. Okay, he can't accept losing.
He's just a loser.
And it's the worst example to everyone in this country, quite frankly. Okay, that it is, and I just don't know when people are going to manage to understand that. And once again, I'm an independent, and I'm strong in that belief. I have voted for both parties many times in the past. My point is, we need the legitimacy of honesty back.
Yes.
And how many cases is he involved in with his business?
Integrity of the Senate, integrity of the elected officials. Come on, these people are. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting.
So it is. I'm hoping for a new day today. Once again, I'm fearful because I'm just not so sure if you're not convinced that the big lie is the big lie. There was no voter fraud, period. Come on,
No,
everybody.
he's not
We
the
need to get
president.
past that. If we can't get past that, then I just don't know where else we
But
go.
you still see like the Trump flags flying as if in my neighborhood, I drive down the street, there's this guy with a humongous Trump flag up. I'm like, dude, what is that? Like, what is that?
So
It is, instead of the Confederate flag, it literally has become the symbol. I think Trump's flag is the symbol. It is. It's become just
it's just such an interesting commentary on society, because listen, we deal with it every day, everybody. And listen, as everybody knows, I'm going to be 66 in May. So, 1984, okay, to me was a George Orwell book that I read back in high school that talked about the society that we're living in today.
Yes.
And democracy, everybody, is fragile. And, I apologize for coming off maybe a little bit, harsh and overwrought, but I'll be honest with you. I am loving life in America with passion, doing something that I know is tip of the spear right now. Once again, this is the Green Room, and we're a medical cannabis clinic. It's one of the few things that keeps me sane, knowing that in my space, I can live a 2022 existence in bringing a safer alternative and adjunct to my patients. So that kind of keeps me sane. But I'll be honest with you, I cannot imagine a country going backwards, okay? And, once again, abortion rights are at risk.
Oh, God, that's a whole other.
Well, it is. It is, and that's
ready
why
to get my red hood on.
And that's why this next year, this
election
leading up to these midterms is critical.
You support God.
And we have to go, and we have to go hard. We have to go hard
to protect our rights. That's all.
To protect our rights.
Protect our rights.
Because we need a couple more senators in the Senate.
Yeah.
And if if the House goes, to that extent.
But we also, even on a local level, because
local level, absolutely. And speak to it, please. Believe me.
Because look, if the legislation comes down on a statewide level to ban, a woman's right to choose, and they can at this point, they're trying to do it. They've done it in Texas or whatever. It's like, you cannot sit still, and people need to be motivated enough to make sure they protect their rights. And I think for women, I think it's a green issue, because this is about suppressing women. And you talk about other cultures that say, oh, that they're suppressing women. Look at our own culture. Look at what we're doing to our women. Are you joking? You want to go back into having coat hangers in a parking lot? I mean,
but the freedom not to take a vaccine doesn't equal the freedom for a woman's right to choose. So that's why 2022 society needs to be understood for what it is. It's multicultural. Okay. It is. And people have their ideas. And I say, raise your children and your families and live in your communities as you want to, but you have to allow in America for the diversification, of the country. It's just what's going to happen. It's what makes us America, everybody.
It is what makes us America. And
I don't get it. When did that change?
Yesterday I was with a friend, and they're from Belgium, and one of the women said, this is kind of a weird statement, but go back to Star Trek for a second. In the 60s, they had a woman at the helm of a spaceship who was an engineer. They had an Asian guy. Yes, they had a whole gamut of people there in the 60s. Now they're coming back and they want to just change everything. And it's like, come on, why do you want to go back even to the 50s? Literally, who would want that? And who wants it for their daughters and their mothers and their aunts and their sisters? Why? It's like, come on.
Just watching somebody and smiling at them is just such a, it's such an easier thing to do in the world.
And we have lost even the smiling. I remember growing up, and people were friendlier. People are not friendly now. They give each other the finger. They don't want to hold the door. Somebody walks in, they're like, to somebody. It's like, my God, what happened to common courtesy of another person? I mean, we see it in our clinic even. Some of our patients come in very, very angry. And it's like, come on, why? And there's just this lack of politeness and manners, and it's gone down the drain, and it's very sad. And I think the digital age is fantastic for a lot of things that we're, we have communications better in a sense, but we also lost a lot of humanity. I think our humanity has gone down the tubes.
We'll see if it ever comes back.
I hope it comes
I
back,
do too.
because the way it is now is not pleasant. I mean, really, you don't care. Nobody knows their neighbors anymore. Like all of this, it's just sad. It's extremely sad. And now with COVID, like you really don't know your neighbors, because you're just going to be stuck in your house again, and everybody's getting sick. So let's talk about a little bit of this, because honestly, in my own circle of friends, I know like at least like 10 people who have COVID right now. So,
Yeah.
And they've been boosted and immunized.
So Omicron's interesting, and we knew it would be, and I'm hoping for Omicron. And here's the deal about it, everybody. And, listen, just getting into a little bit of science. So the thing about Omicron that's so fascinating is the number of mutations that the virus has developed, right? And that's good and that's bad.
Yeah.
The good news about it is that it seems to have developed into, even though it's much more infectious by transmission, equal to measles, which was always felt to be kind of the most transmissible virus that we've known. But the good news is the virulence seems to be down, but because of the number of cases, the overwhelming, disaster in the hospital systems, of course, continues, persists. Let's hope it doesn't worsen. My hope is that Omicron will give those who haven't stepped up and gotten their vaccinations, okay, for whatever reasons that may be, perhaps they'll get some degree of herd immunity, and it will transition us into that endemic phase, so to speak.
You can only hope.
Indeed. But those that will be vaccinated now and in the future will always have better protection against the disaster of having to end up in the hospital, intubated, and it's still extremely scary up north. They're just kind of ending their Delta wave and kind of entering Omicron. I mean, there's still unbelievable amount of disaster. They are. Oh, the hospital systems are horrible right now.
So like, I know like all the like restaurants now, you have to have a
testing lines of 3 hours.
My God, even in Sarasota, the lines
6 hours.
6 hours yesterday. Wow. I mean, no, the lines are ridiculous.
There have been balls dropped at various levels, there's no doubt about
there
it.
has, and we were talking about the CDC even,
it's very confusing.
It's very confusing. And even now, like with, we went from 2 weeks quarantine, now we're down to 5 days quarantine, but it's extremely still rapid moving. But what's interesting also about this whole virus, like when I had it too, it was interesting because in my own household, I got it. Not everybody got it.
Right.
Even now, like I have friends who like the spouses don't have it. They don't even have symptoms, and they were both immunized at the same time. One has it, one doesn't. It's still such a bizarre virus.
Right. So yesterday in our clinic, we actually decided to go what we call code yellow, which means that the patients that are our recertification patients, if they don't need much, we'll see them outside, car side. We have a bench outside. And we listen, to me, that was just, it made sense. Listen, if you're a football fan, and I am, and the Browns, of course, listen, God, what has happened since the last green room into my Browns,
Don't they lose all the time anyway?
Last year they made the playoffs, won a playoff game. So they were high, every pun intended, expectations for the Browns this year. But anyway, listen. No, there were. But every football fan knows that COVID on every NFL team has taken an unbelievable toll. And the reason is because almost all the players have been boosted, right? Vaxxed and boosted, but they'll still test positive when they have to go through their weekly tests, every other day tests. So the volume of tests does show positivity even amongst those that don't have symptoms, which is a scary thing in a lot of ways. So to me, being boosted and vaxxed, I know I'm not going to end up in the ICU, which is great, but we still don't want to have impact on the clinic and have to close for a week. We still don't have telehealth, everybody. Let's give a quick, hang on, I want to give a quick shout out about that. So it is the green room, of course. The important thing in the cannabis world, everybody, right now is that next week in Florida, we do start our legislative season. So listen, for those of you who are watching from, I know you say we have watchers in a lot of places. I know, which is great. Belgium even and all that. But listen, they only meet for 2 months every year, everybody,
I know,
in the Florida
Florida
legislature to pass bills and do the business of the state. Doesn't mean they're not. And I hope
No, they're
Representative,
active during the year,
listen,
but-
I hope Representative Buchanan and Senator Gruters and our other friends, Carlos Smith, of course, and Representative Learned. We know you guys do things all year round. You have
Yeah,
committees.
they
No,
do.
seriously. So I want to give big shout out to all our friends up there in Tallahassee. But the point is, for 2 months, that's when they
It is
pass the bills, and that's coming up next week. The Learned Roach bill, everybody, and it's going to be very important, and we'll post it somewhere on the page today. I think it's Andrew Learned /action. That will take you to the site where you can hook up with the committee leaders,
And you
okay,
need to put
to
pressure on
encourage them to
encourage
hear
them.
the bill.
Yes, they
right?
need to hear this bill.
They do. If the bills don't get committee assignments, then they don't move forward.
forward.
Rudy, you could probably explain a lot more about
No,
Florida politics than I, but it's leadership. It's leadership driven.
It is.
And leadership is driven by patient stories. Everybody, if you have them,
And
send them.
persistent phone calls.
And persistent phone calls,
is.
emails,
Emails.
okay?
They
So
do actually listen to that.
we had a meeting with Representative Learned himself last night, our doctor group, and that was his message to us. We asked him, what can we do so what it does, everybody, it moves the card to 2 years as well instead of 1 year, and it takes the doctor visit from 210 days to 240 days. And what that does is theoretically it lines up 3 doctor visits in a 2-year period of time, so that your third doctor visit coincides with the re-upping of your card, meant to remove confusion for patients and to reduce cost. And to reduce cost,
The cost is still there.
It does some other things. It gives us doctors a seat on the pattern review panel, which we've never had before, which is great. It has a lot to do with the regulation of the Delta 8 products and the other CBD world and hemp world out there. And we've talked about that on other shows. But the point is, legislative season's coming up, so you have to pay attention. And believe me when I tell you, if anything gets done in cannabis this year, my suspicion it will be the only bipartisan thing perhaps
I think so.
that does get discussed up there. It's going to be very partisan.
Yeah.
And listen, Governor DeSantis, we know he has his agenda.
Oh, we keep asking for telehealth.
Well, we do. Well, we need
And we
telehealth
need
back.
to, because look at the COVID again. You just want to protect your patients. A lot of patients are cancer patients that come in here,
immunocompromised patients.
And it is, and it becomes difficult. And you do. So you end up seeing patients on a bench outside or in their car because you want to protect our own practice and you want to protect others. So
our patients know that that's the only visit, quite frankly, when they're a continued patient of ours, it needs to be done physically right now. Very importantly, everybody, and pass it on. No new visit in the state of Florida has ever been allowed to be done by telehealth. We know that there are too many patients in the system right now that have never physically seen a doctor. And if you're one of them, make sure you call that doctor, find out why, see if they're available to you. And if they're not, make sure you find another doctor, because, and we hope that's not getting in the way of any of the telehealth legislation. Unfortunately, there are some pretty well-known groups out there that have been abusing the system.
And unfortunately, no one's coming down on them, so they're getting away with it. But we need to call them out on it. We do. And a shout out to our clinic. We were voted best medical office, cannabis office in Venice by the Venice Gondolier. So shout out to Dr. Barry and staff and everyone that it's just a great clinic. And I think these awards, they do recognize the fact that I think we are a little bit top notch up there, and we do provide our patients with the best education and caring staff. And it's just kudos to our staff. We can't do it without them.
Listen, Ruta leaves herself out, and I will not. Listen, Ruta is an unbelievable leader of an unbelievable team, of which I am but a part, and I mean it. Listen, everybody, let's go to the positives, and there are many. 5 years, everybody. Our anniversary. I know. We opened up the clinic on January 2nd of 2017. First clinic on the west coast of Florida, only to do medical cannabis. And Listen, it's been a great 5 years, and listen, being first is one thing, but we do believe that we have developed an educational model
We have.
that has sustained us and has put us in the position that we're in now. And, absolutely thanks to the gondolier. We are having a 5-year celebration party.
Yes,
Right, next Friday
next
afternoon. Listen, we're going to do it
everybody.
outside for the obvious
And
reasons.
everybody listening, you're all invited to come down. It starts at 2:30 in the afternoon next Friday and it goes to 5:30, but come on out. If you haven't been to the clinic, we have a lot of listeners that have not. Great opportunity. It's outside. If you want to come in on tours, you just mask up. We'll give you a tour of the clinic and you can see really what we do, like not just in the green room, but we do on a daily basis.
Right.
And it's very exciting.
And we're going to have some MMTCs, which are the dispensary organizations
So we'll have
here.
like Move, True Leaf.
Right.
One plant is no longer one plant, but they're like,
Cresco Sunnyside,
yeah,
right?
Cresco
But
Sunnyside.
you don't know
I
the
know
players
the
on a
name.
scorecard. But that's one of the reasons to stay up with your clinic and with the MMTCs coming out. They're going to have swag if you're a
Swag.
patient already
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But once again,
Nice.
information about what the new products are, where we're going. We'll have a legislative update, at that point. But it's going to be a celebration. And next week's green room, and I think it's probably 8:56, great timing. So next week's green room, everybody, I want to give a shout out about it because we're going to do a time capsule is what we're
which
going to
is
do.
awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be
And
fun.
we're going to take it back to
5
5
years
years
ago.
ago when we had the 90-day waiting period, no
Everything.
flower in the state of Florida.
Cash visits, like everything. Like, I
Pain
mean,
management doctors that had no idea of what it was that we do. So listen, there's so many things that have advanced to the positive
Yeah.
that I can't wait. And, it'll just kind of segue into the next day's celebration. And listen, it's going to be a very interesting couple months. And,
it's going to be an interesting year. I
yeah, it is. Interesting lifetime.
Interesting lifetime.
And I think just once again, just going back to the opening of the green room today, and you said 2020, which was funny because listen, that's when COVID,
feels like 2020.
that's when
Really
COVID
does.
started. And, to me, there's a lot of theories about how you look at life as you go by. I had an old partner, and I'm going to shout out to him, Dominic Catalano, who always said that as you get older, the toilet paper roll gets smaller and it rolls faster. Right. So that was his outlook.
That's pretty funny.
Well, he was odd and he still is, but he was a great boss. But the point is that we've been in a time warp over the past couple years, all of it, in every way, shape, and form.
Everybody.
And I think everybody in general wants to get back to the way we
normal.
were before. But to me, that has to do with not just getting rid of the masks, but to everybody getting listen, if we get 80% of the population, I guess right now, Ruta, to get some degree of an agreed truth,
Yes.
an agreed narrative. That's what happened. It used to be Walter Cronkite and a couple others on the
Peter
big
Jennings,
newspapers.
Dan Rather,
And he would read the
Walter
Sunday
Cronkite.
paper to read your editorial
Mhm.
page. Now there's an overwhelming. And listen, I do blame Fox News and I do blame OAN and I do
God,
blame
OAN 's
Newsmax.
horrible.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
horrific.
I do because listen, I'm a communications major as an undergrad. And believe me when I tell you the persistence of message, okay?
Say it often enough, it becomes true.
Trump is insane to me. He's a malignant narcissist. I've said that on this show before, so I'm comfortable saying it.
No, he is.
His
He is what he
belief
is.
in his truth that he didn't lose or whatever, if he wants to be in that 20%, okay, of mentally ill, malignant narcissists, whatever. But please, the rest of you, come on back.
Yeah, really.
I mean it. I'm not gonna belittle you, laugh at you, and I know this probably falls on deaf ears, but I hope not today, please. It's been a year since the insurrection. I love living in what used to be the ideal vision of democracy on this planet. I think to get back to that ever, I don't know if we ever
I don't
can,
think we can.
but
I think
let's
it's
get
hard.
better.
Let's get better again.
Let's heal.
Let's heal. We should have that as a new motto.
Let's heal.
America.
Let's heal
Yeah,
America.
get rid of Trump to never be seen again. Let's heal America.
You know what though? I mean, he's the leader of a movement that once again needs to understand that the country has changed.
Yeah.
So if you want to cocoon within your own and live live that type of, it's okay. But you must allow all of us to do that.
Yeah,
and
I
live
mean,
our
to
free
be
lives.
so egocentric is
Think about what you
ridiculous.
lose by burying your head in the sand.
Seriously, you do bury your
And
head
we
in the
can't
sand,
bury
and
our
that's
head in
what
the
they-
sand,
and
not
we
this
can't,
year.
Not this year,
Not
and
this
not
year,
ever.
not local, not
And honestly,
ever.
not ever. I think we buried our head in the sand when this all occurred, and we let that it got to this point of having an insurrection in our own country. So I think, we look back and it is, people are saying, oh, news stations are making it a big deal. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
It was a big
It was
deal.
a
It was
big
a
deal.
rebel. It was a coup
Yeah.
against our own government.
It
Of
was-
course, it's a big deal.
And I guess just to finish it up, those people that are in jail already and those people that are still facing prosecution already, they're but the minions, they're
They
but
are
the little guys.
minions.
Come on, everybody. Let's know where this came from.
Yeah.
And this didn't come from a one-day percolation
Oh, God,
event
no.
either,
This took-
okay?
This was.
My belief always was that going towards martial law and having the declaration of martial law was the ultimate goal.
I think so. I think that was.
So there were too many people stopping that.
Yeah.
And then once
Thank
again,
God, a couple cooler heads prevailed.
cooler
somewhere.
heads. So anyway, next week, time capsule.
Time capsule.
Everybody stay safe and healthy.
Yes, and
Let's-
then let's
let's-
have a great new year. and
Absolutely.
New start for everybody.
You got it. We'll see you next week in the
See you
green
next
room.